This is Mr. Z, and today I'm going to be going over one of your essay questions on your Unit 3 post-test that deals with checks and balances. So first want to just kind of review, and you remember that we have three branches. We have the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. And if you start from the bottom right-hand corner, legislative branch, you know that they create the laws. They write the bills and pass the bills, and they send it up to the president, to the executive branch. The executive is in charge of enforcing the laws, so he would sign the bills into law. The judicial branch, which would be like the judges, the Supreme Court, their job is to interpret the law. So you have three different branches: legislative, executive, judicial. Each of them have separate responsibilities. And then in the next slide we'll talk a little bit more about checks and balances. You may remember this slide from one of your Check Your Knowledge quizzes. This deals with checks and balances, and again you see on the left hand side the three branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. And then it shows ways that they can have a check on the other branches. So if you look at the legislative branch, how can they have a check on the executive branch? Well, they have the ability to what's called impeach the president. And how can they have a check on the judicial branch? They also have the authority to impeach federal judges. And let's look at the bottom, and you look at the judicial branch. What can they do? Their check on the executive branch is that they can declare certain executive actions as unconstitutional. So remember, their job is to interpret the laws. And their check on the legislative branch is they can declare laws unconstitutional. And you've heard talk about some of those just recently with the Affordable Care Act. And go back to the top of the chart and you look at the executive branch. They can veto bills. That's their check on the legislative branch. So if the Congress passes a bill and sends it to the president, he can say, no, that's not acceptable, and he can veto it. And then you'll see in the chart it has a question mark, because that was one of your questions on the Check Your Knowledge quiz. But the executive branch's check on the judicial branch is that they can appoint judges. So they can make an informed decision on which judges are going to do the best job. So you see in this chart you're given 6 ways that one branch has a check or a balance on another branch, and your essay question is going to ask you for 3. So I hope this helps a little bit, and we'll see how you do on your Unit 3 post-test.